Hello students, happy day. In today's class we are going to start the next chapter, circles. Circle, the shape is a very favorite one for many of you, right? Circle, what is meant by a circle? A circle is a collection of all points in a plane which are at a constant distance from a fixed point. What is a circle? Circle is a collection of all points lying on a plane where at a constant distance from a fixed point. We will fix a point here as the center and it will be at the constant distance from the fixed point. Then the collection of all points form a circle. This is the definition of a circle, right? This we know already. What are we going to learn about circles in class 10? We are going to learn about a tangent to a circle. What is meant by a tangent? In the previous classes we have learned the various parts of a circle like chord, segment, sector, secant and all those things we have learned already. Now we are going to learn about tangent, right? What is meant by a tangent? Tangent is a line that intersects the circle at only one point. It is a line that intersects the circle at only one point. If a line intersects the circle at only one point, that is called a tangent. Now if you see in this circle, that line PQ intersects the circle at A and hence PQ is called a tangent, right? I wish to recall the definition of a secant as well here. See, if you have a circle and if a line, if you have a circle and a line, there can arise three possibilities. What are the three possibilities? The line will not intersect the circle at all, right? Then a line can pass through the circle like this so that there are 2 points of intersection. And a line may pass through the circle like this where it will touch the circle at only one point. In this case we will call this line as a tangent. In this case we will call the line as a secant. We will call that line as a secant. This and all we have learnt already. Yes. So when we have a line and a circle, there can arise only three cases. A line does not intersect. It may intersect at 2 points or it may touch. It is not intersecting there, it is touching. The line may touch the circle at only one point. If the line touches the circle at only one point, it is called a tangent. If it intersects the circle at 2 points, we will call this line PQ as a secant. What we call this AB? AB is a chord. We know already, right? What is a chord? There is only a slight difference between a chord and a secant. What is a chord? A chord is a line segment. A chord is a line segment that has both the endpoints on the circle. Okay, what is meant by a secant? A secant is a line. A secant is a line that intersects the circle at 2 points, right? Hope you know the difference between a line and a line segment. A line can be extended on both the ends. A line segment has both the end points, right? So chord is a line segment that has both the ends on the circumference of the circle, whereas a secant is a line which intersects the circle at 2 points, right? This is the spelling for the secant, S-E-C-A-N-T, secant. And if the line touches the circle at only one point, then it is called a tangent, right? That is called a tangent. Yes, so now you got a clear idea about secant and tangent, I believe. Let us move on to the next thing. What we have to remember out of this? There is only one tangent at a point of a circle. There can be only one tangent at a point. If you have a point, through that point we can have only one tangent, and this A is called the point of contact. This A is called the point of contact, right? Now before we get into the first theorem, I wish to explain the activities which is given in your textbook. So first activity, out of the first activity, what they are concluding is there is only one tangent at a point of the circle. What is this activity? We have a circular wire and attach a straight wire AB at a point P. Okay. take a circular wire, attach a straight wire AB at a point P of the circular wire so that it can rotate about the point P in a plane. Put the system on a table and gently rotate the wire AB above the point P to get the different positions of the straight wire. So what is this? We have a circular wire, or imagine it is a bangle, and I am going to place a thin wire, or imagine it is going to be a broomstick or anything on stick, like a thin thing. I am going to place it over it, right? So if you infer that line intersects the circle, not intersects, it touches the circle at the point P. Now I am going to rotate this bangle. So what will happen? The position of this wire will also vary. Yes, the position of, because that way only we made a system that it can rotate above the point P in a plane. So what will you infer? The position of this AB is also varies. It is also moving along the circle. So when it moves, the position of A, B and P, everything will change. Yes or no? The position of A, B, P, everything will change. So when it comes here, see the position, the contact comes here, Q1. When the line becomes here, the contact is here, right? The point of contact. When this line, the contact is here. With this line, the contact is here. Here is the contact. So the point of contact also varies. So what do you infer from this? At one point of contact, we can have only one tangent, right? We can have only one tangent. So there is only one tangent at a point of a circle. So through this point we can have only one tangent, right? And we can also infer that the tangent to a circle is a special case of the secant. Why? Now if you consider, when we started the activity, we started with the secant only. We didn't start with the tangent. We placed a straight wire AB such that it intersects the circle at P. Likewise only we have placed. See, at a point P of a circular wire, we have placed a straight wire, right? So what will happen to this sequent when it moves like this? It comes out so that it makes a tangent. Hope you understood, right? So a sequent, when it moves outer of the circle, it becomes the tangent. If this is a secant, when it moves outer of the circle, it becomes the tangent. See, here I have a stick. Imagine, see, when this stick stands here, it is a secant because it intersects the circle at 2 points. When this secant moves out and out and out, when it comes like this, it becomes a tangent, right? Hope you understood. When we started with the secant, when it moves out this way or this way, when it comes out, it becomes the tangent. So a tangent to a circle is a special case of the secant when the two end points of its corresponding chord coincide. When the two end points of the corresponding chord, see, this is one end point of the chord, this is another end point. When they both coincide, when they see, it becomes smaller and smaller, the length of the chord, this is the chord, right? So the length of the chord becomes smaller and smaller and smaller, and when it comes out, there is no chord. So both the end points coincides at a single point, which is called the point of contact of the tangent, right? Hope now you got a better clarity. So through this activity, two things we inferred. One is there can be only one tangent at a point. At this point we can have only one tangent, and we also inferred that a tangent is a special case of a secant where both the endpoints of the chords coincide together, right? Hope you understood. Here is the next activity which is given in your textbook. See, this is a circle and we have a secant here, and we have a secant here, and we have drawn a parallel lines on both sides parallel to the secant, secant. So what you infer at one point gradually, what we seen in the previous activity, what I told you, gradually the length of the chord is reduces and both the end points of the chord become coincide one and it is becoming a tangent. Yes, the length of the chord is gradually decreasing and at one point it comes to 0 and that is your tangent. The same way the other side. So from this what we conclude? From this we conclude there cannot be more than two tangents parallel to a given sequent. There cannot be more than two tangents parallel to a given sequence. So if a secant is given, how many parallel tangents can be drawn? Only two. Only two parallel tangents can be drawn to a given secant. This is also an important thing you should note out. There cannot be more than two tangents parallel to a given secant, right? And the common point of the tangent and the circle is called the point of contact, and the tangent is said to touch the circle at the common point, right? So these are the two activities, and now we are moving on to the theorem. What is the theorem? The tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. The tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. That's what we are going to prove now, right? See, the tangent is being drawn at any point of a circle. At any point of a circle, we have taken it as P, to the radius. What is the radius? OP, through the point of contact. So the tangent is perpendicular. Now we need to prove OP is perpendicular to XY. So what is given? A circle with center O, and XY is the tangent to the circle at P. Now we need to prove OP is perpendicular to XY. Now what are we going to do now is take a point Q on XY other than P. Now we are going to take a point Q on XY other than P. Okay. Now join OQ. Now our observation is Q should lie outside the circle. Q should lie outside the circle. Why? Why Q should not lie inside the circle? Why Q should not lie inside the circle? If suppose, see, Q lies somewhere here. Q should lie on the line XY, right? Q should lie on the line XY. So if Q lies here and our XY line will be like this. Our XY line will be like this. Now in this case, this may be the point of contact P, and if Q lies inside the circle somewhere and our line XY will be like this, then XY is called a tangent here? No, XY will become a secant here, right? And hence Q should lie outside the circle. Even if Q lies on the circle, the thing is going to be in the same way. Even if Q lies on the circle, it is going to be a secant only. It is going to be a secant only. Yes. So the only possibility is Q should lie outside the circle. See, Q should lie outside the circle since XY will become secant if Q lies inside the circle. Therefore, OQ, since P is on the circle and Q is outside the circle, obviously the length of OQ is greater than the length of OP. The length of OQ is greater than the length of OP, right? See, OQ is greater than OP. Since this happens for every point on line XY except the point P, OP is the shortest of all distances. Hence, OP is perpendicular to XY. How OP is perpendicular to XY here? We told that OP is the shortest of all distances, right? We told that OP is the shortest of all distances because any point if you take on the line XY, it will be greater in length than OP because it will lie outside the circle. Hence OP is the shortest distance. If OP is the shortest distance, how it will become perpendicular to XY? I don't know how many of you remember this concept which we learnt in class 9. Class 9 in we have learnt in triangles chapter. In inequalities of a triangle, we have learnt this concept. I don't know how many of you remember. I wish to recall it once again. This theorem we have learnt in our class 9. Out of all the line segments drawn from a point, 2 points of line not passing through the point, the smallest is the perpendicular to the line. We learnt in class 9 inequalities of a triangle concept. We used the sum of any two sides is greater than the third side, and we have learnt the side opposite to the larger angle will be the longest side. The larger angle will be the longest side. Using this concept we have proved this. What this tells, out of all line segments drawn from a point, 2 points on line not passing through the point, the smallest is the perpendicular to the line, right? So here we have told OP is the shortest, and hence it should be perpendicular to XY, right? So what does this theorem says? The tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of contact. Radius can be drawn anywhere. This is also a radius, this is also a radius. All these radius will be perpendicular to your tangent? No. The radius drawn through the point of contact is perpendicular to your tangent. So a radius drawn through the point of contact is perpendicular to the tangent or to the circle. How will you prove this? We have taken a point Q on the tangent XY other than P. And it is very clear Q should lie outside the circle, because if it lies inside or on the circle, the line XY will become a secant. But here we are dealing with a tangent, and hence Q should lie outside the circle. If Q lies outside the circle, the length of OQ will be greater than OP, and this is the case with any point on the line XY except P, and hence OP is the shortest distance. If OP is the shortest of all distances, then OP will become perpendicular to XY, and hence we proved the theorem. Yes, hope you understood. The remark what we obtained from this is, at any point on a circle there can be one and only one tangent. At any point on the circle there can be only one and only one tangent. Okay, if you have a point on a circle, we can draw only one tangent. That is what the remark we obtained out of it. So with all these ideas, let us move on to exercise 10.1 now. Now we are in exercise 10.1. Our first question, how many tangents can a circle have? How many tangents can a circle have? A circle can have an infinite number of tangents, right? If you have a circle like this, you can draw infinite number of tangents by taking any point on a circle as your point of contact. How many points lie on a circle? How many points lie on a circle? Infinitely many points. So you can take each point as your point of contact and you can draw infinite number of tangents. Next, fill in the blanks. A tangent to a circle intersects it in dash points. Exactly 1 point. A line intersecting a circle in 2 points is called a secant. Just now we discussed. A circle can have dash parallel tangents at the most. How many parallel tangents? We came to a conclusion out of activity 2. There can be only 2 tangents parallel to a given sequence, and hence if it is parallel to a given sequence, which in turn implies that the 2 tangents are also parallel, right? So how many parallel tangents can be drawn? Only 2, and hence a circle can have 2 parallel tangents at the most. The common point of a tangent to a circle and the circle is called point of contact, right? Let us move on to the next question. A tangent PQ at a point P of a circle of radius 5 centimeter meets a line through the center O at a point Q, so that OQ is this, length PQ is what? See, what is given? A tangent PQ. A tangent PQ at a point P of a circle of radius 5 centimeter meets the line through the center O at a point Q. I repeat, the tangent PQ at the point P of a circle of radius radius 5 centimeter meets the line through the center at a point Q, so that OQ is equal to 12 centimeter. They asked you to find the length PQ. And we know the radius at the point of contact is perpendicular to the tangent. Therefore, we can immediately go with Pythagoras theorem, because this is a right triangle. So, apply Pythagoras theorem. PQ square can be written as OQ square minus OP square, right? So, if we subtract, we got square root of 119 centimeter. That is what your answer. Now, the last question in the exercise, draw a circle and two lines parallel to a given line. So, they have given you a circle and a line. They asked you to draw two lines parallel to the given line such that one is a tangent and the other is a secant. Very easy, right? So, we have to draw lines parallel to this line such that one is tangent and the other one should be secant. So, I can draw like this. This is parallel to the given line. This is parallel to the given line and it is also tangent. And I can draw another line like this, right? This is also parallel to the given line, but it is a secant. So, if you want, you can name this PQ is a tangent and RS is a secant parallel to the given line, right? Hope you understood. So, let us move on to the next topic now. Next, we are going to see about the number of tangents a circle can have depend on the point where it lies. So, first case, we are going to see how many tangents can be drawn to a circle from a point P which is lying inside the circle. The point P is inside the circle. Second case, what happens if the point P is on the circle, and what happens if the point P lies outside the circle. If you see clearly, it is if a point P lies inside the circle, then the lines passing through the point P are not at all tangents, these are all secants, right? And hence, if a point is lying inside the circle, this concept we have seen even in the proof of the earlier theorem activity, right? So, if a point lies inside the circle, then we cannot draw any tangent to a circle. It will become a secant, okay? It will become a secant. So, if a point lies on the circle, then there can be exactly only one tangent passing through the point. And if a point lies outside the circle, then there can be exactly two tangents passing through that point. So, these are all the three cases you should remember. So, if a point lies outside, we can draw two tangents. If a point lies on the circle, we can draw exactly one. If a point lies inside the circle, we cannot draw any tangents to the circle, right? So, these are the three cases. Next, we are going to learn about another theorem about the length of the tangent drawn from an external point to a circle. What happens to the length of the tangents drawn from an external point to a circle? These two tangents should be will be equal. Just now we have seen from an external point two tangents can be drawn, and those two tangents will be equal in length. That's what we are going to learn in this theorem, and this can be easily proved. So, given a circle with center O, a point P lying outside the circle, and two tangents PQ and PR at P. Now, we need to prove that PQ is equal to PR. Now, join OR and OQ. Now, we are going to join. What do you infer from this? We know very well these two angles are 90 degree. We learnt in the previous topic, right? We know the angle between the radius and the tangent, the radius drawn at the point of contact is 90 degree, right? The radius drawn at the point of contact of the tangent will make angle 90 degree. Therefore, this angle is also 90 degree, this angle is also 90 degree. We need to prove that PQ is equal to PR. This can be proved in two ways. First, we can prove the congruency, or else we can use Pythagoras theorem. If we go with Pythagoras theorem, we know PQ square, we need to prove PQ is equal to PR. This is 90 degrees, so which will be your hypotenuse? OP is your hypotenuse. So PQ square can be written as PO square minus OQ square. Similarly, PR square can be written as OP square minus RO square, right? And if you see both side, we have OP square, and OQ and OR are radius, therefore they will be equal in length, and hence PQ square is equal to PR square, and hence PQ is equal to PR. We can prove in that way also. Now I am going to show you how can we prove using congruency. Now consider triangle OQP and triangle ORP. What do you infer? We got one angle 90 degree, which is right angle, and OQ is equal to OR, which is one side. Because these two are radius, then OP is a common side. OP is actually the hypotenuse to both the triangles. Therefore, by RHS criteria, triangle OQP will be congruent to triangle ORP. Right? Therefore, by CPCT, PQ will be equal to PR. So, as I told you, this can be proved using congruency or by Pythagoras theorem, your wish. So, what we infer from this theorem? The length of the tangents drawn from an external point to a circle are equal in length. So, PQ equal to PR. So, what else the remark we are obtaining from this theorem? Angle OPQ is equal to OPR. Which is OPQ? OPQ is this part of the triangle. This part of the triangle is equal to this part of the triangle. Why? We have proved this triangle is congruent to this triangle. These sort of conclusions we cannot arrive at if we prove the theorem by Pythagoras theorem, right? That's why we proved it through congruency. So this part of the triangle is equal to this part because this triangle is congruent to this triangle. Therefore, by CPCT, angle OPQ is equal to angle OPR. So what does this imply? OP bisects angle P. OP bisects angle P, and also we came to know that center, O is a center, right? Therefore, center lies on the bisector of the angle between the two tangents. I repeat, center lies on the bisector of the angle between the two tangents, because P is the angle made by the two tangents PQ and PR, right? So what are all the things we learnt now? If the point P lies outside the circle, two tangents can be drawn from P, and those two tangents are equal in length, right? Those two tangents are equal in length, and angle OPQ is equal to angle OPR, which means OP is the angle bisector of angle P. What is this angle P? Angle P is the angle between the two tangents. And we came to a conclusion that center lies on the angle bisector, the bisector of the angle between the two tangents. Right? So far, what are all the things we learnt in circle? We learnt what is meant by a tangent. Then we have learnt the tangent at any point of a circle is perpendicular to the radius through the point of a circle, right? And there can be only one tangent at a point of a circle. Then also we have seen at any point on a circle there can be one and only one tangent. And now we have seen if a point lies inside the circle, there cannot be any tangent. If the point lies on the circle, there can be only one tangent. If a point lies outside the circle, there can be exactly two tangents. And then we have seen about the length of the tangents drawn from an external point to a circle. And we have also seen the center lies on the bisector of the angle between the two tangents. Right? So these are all the things we have learnt in today's class. So with all these inputs, I want you to solve exercise 10.2 question number 1, 2, 3. All the 3 questions are MCQ based on these things, numericals which can be easily solved using Pythagoras theorem and all the things which we learnt today. Right? So I want you to solve it by your own. See the first question. From a point Q, the length of the tangent. From a point Q, the length of the tangent to a circle is 24 centimeter and the distance of Q from the center is 25. Find the radius of the circle. Hope this can be easily done using Pythagoras theorem. The next is here. This is the diagram for this. TP, TQ are two tangents to a circle with center at O, so that POQ is 110 degree. Then PTQ, this angle they asked you to find out. How will you find out? We know, see, this is what about this angle and this angle? These two are 90 degree because the angle between the radius at the point of contact of the tangent. And we know this is a quadrilateral. What is angle sum property of a quadrilateral? 360 degree. Sum of all the angles is 360 degree. 110 plus 90 plus 90. This angle we don't know. So add all these and subtract from 360. You will come to know. The last question also in the same way, but they asked you to find POA, a part of this. See, if tangents PA and PB from a point P to a circle with center O are inclined to each other at an angle of 80, which means tangents inclined at 80 degrees. So this angle is given. They asked you to find POA, which means not this full angle, a part of this. POA is part of this, right? You have to draw the diagram. I have not drawn it. I want you to do it. Give a try. So this can be found using the same way, using angle sum property. When you know this full angle, we know the center lies on the angle bisector. So you can divide it by 2. That will give you your POA. So with this, let us wind up today's class. And I want you to do these 3 questions as homework. Understand the entire concepts what we discussed in today's class. And if you have any doubts, you can ask me. In the next class, let us continue with the remaining problems in the exercise. Thank you, students.